Hi.
Yo, what's up, Daniel?
Hey, vibe.
Yo,
Not too much.
yo, I got something really important to tell you really fast.
Oh yeah?
Happy birthday, bro!
Thank you.
Yo, that's awesome, man. Uh, tell your wife she's awesome because that's this whole interaction here that's super cool. Coaching lesson for the birthday stuff. All I can say to you is I hope I don't disappoint you. And you're like, well, that
Uh,
sucked.
I don't think I don't think you could do that.
All right, well, man, how you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. It's just the start of the morning for us, so
Yep,
try.
yeah, I remember that when I was there. Because I lived there for a little bit of time, but I remember I was trying to maintain the same stream schedule, and I would always be waking up at like at 9 a.m. And I'm like, oh my god, this is hard because I'm such a degenerate. Normally in America, I wake up at like 3 p.m. to start streaming.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
uh,
Ever since the kiddo, we haven't had to sleep in for quite a while.
yeah, no, I understand that. I guess the thing I do with everybody is just go ahead and let me know what race you're playing as and what league we're talking about here today, and kind of I guess um, then we'll go from there. Yeah, just start with that.
I'm Protoss,
Okay.
and I just edging into Diamond 3. I just got in like literally yesterday.
Okay. Uh,
I think my MOR is about 3,100, give or take.
okay. Is there any race specifically that you think you struggle with the most playing against?
Um, I'm kind of having a bit of trouble dealing with Skytoss. Uh, yeah, when I'm facing another build, I've just been doing like your. I've been trying to do your macro build. I haven't actually gotten very good at doing the Skytoss transition,
Okay.
but I've just been trying to macro a bit. Then my Grand Army tends to get a bit wiped out, and I'm not sure if I've got enough production to, if I'm building enough buildings to keep remaxing.
Sure. So do you want to try and focus on like a build that can transition today, where like we can just make you don't have to have a replay if you don't have one. It's totally fine. We can just make something. But do you want to have today maybe focus on a way where you can open up in PvP that has like a foundational early game that switches into Skytoss, so you can go Skytoss versus Skytoss? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
Okay.
my Grand Army seems to get a bit wiped, so
So a lot of times,
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize this. This is one of the biggest, most common problems I see out of people that legit are like masters one or below that try to make transitions, and it's a concept that once you understand it, it makes a lot of sense. But before you understand this, it can feel confusing. And it's whenever people transition their army from like, let's just say your army is currently Stalker, uh, Zealot, Archon Immortal, or something like that. It's something on the ground, right?
Yeah,
And then you're like, okay, now I'm
yeah.
gonna go Skytoss, and you're let's say when you have currently only 4 carriers, and let's say you actually have like 4 Stargates, and you have 4 more carriers in production, and then you decide it's time to attack now, and your army is like a bunch of ground units with just 4 carriers, and then that's it. And it's what the way to describe the army is it's a hybrid, and whenever you switch tech, you're the most weak during the time when you're tech switching. Like your build is actually at its all-time low when it's half of both things. If it's not designed that way, where like for instance, let me give an example, okay?
Yeah.
So a carrier is a unit that like scales in power exponentially because if you don't have enough interceptors that engage right away to overwhelm something, they suck pretty hard. They're terrible. However, if you went for like let's say instead of just 4 air units, if those were carrier, what if you went for like 4 Tempest? And now suddenly you don't have the overwhelm aspect anymore, and all you're using the Tempest for is to like siege to like open up the engagement, and that's it. So
Ah,
it depends on like your goal of what you want to do, and if your goal is to go for a unit that is bad in low numbers but really good in high numbers, like a carrier, that unit needs to be like sat back defensively on until you have a lot of them. Like we're talking like 15, and then you can go attack. The mistake most
right.
people make is they always attack way too early, and they only have like literally 3 or 4 or something, and they're like, well, damn, carriers suck. Why do my carriers not win? So
Okay.
that's a big deal. I mean I don't know if that's what you're doing already, but that's what a lot of people do actually do that, and they just kind of ruin the game for themselves when they do that. Another thing we might see is, that could be happening to you is I guess the order of how you develop your build could be a little out of whack. Maybe you're like you're taking too much production too fast, or maybe you're tech switching before you can actually properly do it. So
Yeah.
I have a cool, interesting build for you that we could do.
Well, that sounds cool.
And this build will give you. It's a build I haven't really done with anyone yet. It's a new idea that I have that. And here's the thing too, right? If you do a build that is not super common, a lot of times you'll win the game with it because people don't know what to expect, and they're like, "What the hell is this? What the fuck is
Yeah.
happening?" So you tell me if you think this sounds good, okay? And then this build is going to be pretty aggressive, I would say, but then it switches into Skytoss, which becomes defensive, but it has a side of aggression. So hear me out. This is how the build goes. So you tell me if you think this sounds good. So the way the build will go is you will open up with gases in your main base only, and you're going to expand quickly to a natural and a third and a fourth. And this is going to be paired with gateways throughout the process. And you're going to open up with a Twilight Council and a Robo. And the only reason why you're going to make a Robo is to make observers. Like, we're talking like maybe like 2 observers. And that's it.
Okay.
So you don't die to like DTs or something like that. And then your council build is going to give you charge and blink.
Yep.
And I'm not telling you that you have to blink micro like an insane maniac. It's mostly just be like, if someone's running away from you, you can blink all your stalkers towards them and just get some extra shots off. And if someone's chasing you, you can blink away from them to retreat faster. So it gives your stalkers more mobility. But this build will be it's like all gate, all early. We're talking like probably 12 gateways off of like 4 base minerals only. And you're going to basically max out with this. And then you're not going to stop making probes though. And once you have 4 mineral lines fully saturated, and then you have 1 base gas, you're then going to just keep making probes, and you're going to take all of your gases all at once. Like the other 6 gases out of your other 3 bases that are missing gas. And then you're going to switch your build immediately into a Skytoss transition. And when you do that, you're going to start only making zealots. So you're going to make zealots and carriers. And then eventually, like all the zealots are going to do is you're going to constantly keep attacking your opponent's economy. While what it does is it buys you time to switch into carriers safely. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, going from Stalker or Zealot, you now have Mass Carrier.
Okay, so you send the zealots around, attack the left, attack the right, like kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. And if you want, what we could do is you and I could either play a 1v1, or I could just do it like myself versus an AI just to show you the build, and then I could have you play it and like see how you do it, kind of stuff.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Okay. So here's what I think we'll do. This because right now I'm running with stream delay, so I'll let you pick. Would you rather I do it against like an AI, just show you how it goes, and have you try to recreate it yourself, or would you rather you and I play against each other, and then you can see what it feels like to play against it, and then I can again show you how it goes after?
Okay, well, actually, it'll be quite cool to try and play against you.
Okay, so go ahead. And,
I'm gonna suck though.
Yeah, no worries. Just go ahead and log in, and if you, I don't know if you're in the channel that's called Vibrator Group Chat, but if you're not, I can show you how to do it really fast.
I did join it. I saw it in one of the other videos.
All right, what's your name?
I'm smart.
Okay.
Smartness.
Okay, sick. I see you. All right, so I'll just make a standard map, like light shade or something.
Sure.
And then, yeah, now you'll do whatever build you want. You don't have to tell me what you're gonna do. You do anything that you feel. Do like your best, what you think your best PvP is, and just try to kill me, right? So, and then what I'm gonna do to you is, I am going to basically, like I said, I'm going to macro fast. I'm going to expand fast, because if we're not taking gases at the natural, the third, and the fourth, our money is going to explode super quickly. And because of that, I'm going to be able to, not only am I going to be able to expand fast, I'm going to be able to crank out zealots like a madman. That's going to be, the zealots also cool down super fast at the gateway. So I'm going to be making them really, really often as well. The build's like pure mineral. It's like zealots are minerals, gateways are minerals, pylons are minerals, nexus are minerals, probes are minerals. The only thing we're really doing with our gas is we're getting upgrades on a forge, like 1 forge with like weapon upgrades, so our zealots can kill shit quickly, and then a charge upgrade. And then with our excess gas that we have off of 2 gases, we're just going to add on stalkers here and there. So we're talking like I might make a total of like 13 to 15 stalkers, and then I'm done. And I'm going to make probably about 150 zealots. It's going to be a lot of zealots.
That's a lot of zealots.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of zealots. And then I'm going to be, and then I'll expand again to like a 5th base and a 6th base once my first 4 bases start having money issues, like they start mining out. So we'll just keep expanding after that. But once our gas explodes, when we max out the first time, it's going to suddenly, you're going to be like, I'm dealing with zealots everywhere. This is really annoying. And zealots are constantly pressuring me and not letting me expand. And then suddenly you're going to, if you actually manage to build up a defense to deal with zealots, I'm going to have like 15 carriers out of nowhere. It's going to feel like it transitions really fast.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'll walk you through the build as well after. And the reason why this build is able to do that is because it just has so much money. Okay.
Oh yeah, because all the quick expansions. Oh,
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Good luck, man.
Cheers.
All right. And if you want to talk during this, you want to ask me questions, feel free. But I'll probably try to just let you focus so I don't distract you the whole time. And you're like, oh my God, I can't focus. Vibes asking me questions constantly.
Yeah, I can't do 2 things at once.
You're all good. Oh shit. All right, guys. So I muted the mic to him, and I'll walk you guys now through the build on stream. And also, Daniel, if you're watching this on YouTube now, you'll be able to hear me walk through it on the YouTube recording, and you won't know I'm doing this while we're actually playing live. But when you go back and watch this in the future, you'll hear this now. So it's another breakdown of the build to give you another version of what it's like. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a standard opener that every Protoss will basically do in. For a fast expand style build, I'm going to be going for a safety double gateway into an expand, and this way we don't take a bunch of damage from like a depths or something like that. If our opponent decides to open up aggressively or all in, so it's safe and it won't let you die right away. But it's going to turn into literally like once we take our first 2 gases, that's it. Yeah, like we were saying before, and it's just going to explode with economy the entire time after that. Mineral line. Now all my mineral patches are stacked 2 each. Patches are looking great. Also, I'm not going to scout right now either. I'm going to scout after the cybernetic score gets thrown down, because that way we can maximize our money super hard. So what we're going to do now with this probe right here that's building, this probe goes down to the natural, builds a nexus, goes back up to here, builds a actually no, sorry, what am I doing? I'm doing a 2 gate expand. 2 gate expand, not a 1 gate expand. My bad. I should actually go like this instead. Either way, it's still after the core. So we make 2nd gateway and a core, and now we can make our 2nd gas, take a probe off our gas, make a gas, make also a 2nd pylon, and then we can rally our nexus to the other gas so we can chrono boost our probes too. Because if we're going to go double pylon before nexus, you can double chrono boost. You only want a single chrono boost if you want to expand quickly. Like 1 gate expand. And now we're gonna check his build and make sure it's not like a super fast all-in or something like that. And we're gonna open with stalkers. We're not opening with zealots. If you open with stalkers, it's so much safer because zealots without charge are actually useless. They're terrible. And now here's what's gonna happen, right? So my opponent, Daniel himself, went for a 1 gate nexus, and now this allows us to be aggressive with this kind of a build. It allows us to start pressuring his base a bit. So we can send our probe home now. We know what we're up against. We're up against someone who is playing greedy. And I can turn this game into a situation where I'm the one who's behind in economy to now being the one who's ahead in economy through aggression. And again, this build is definitely something that's going to be harder to execute, but it's going to be something that will also... the better you get at multitasking with macro and micro at the same time, it'll definitely make you feel like you're ahead. Okay, so we're making another stalker, and then like another stalker again. So now we have 4 stalkers in a second here. I'm still making probes the entire time, by the way. I'm not stopping probe production at all. We're going to pressure his base, and we're going to force the reaction here. Let's kill that stalker. So we can kill that sentry. And then this is a moment where these stalkers could literally kill probes all day. There's no more defense here, and that would be a serious problem, right? I'll back off because again, I want to show him the whole build, right? But that's a moment right there of constant aggression that could happen. That would be scary. Okay, so now we can go into our council. So let's make a third gate with it as well, because now we're gonna have a little bit more money to work with.
I am the voice. New technology researched.
And now let's get a probe ready to take a third base here in just a second.
I am here.
Like right now.
Shadows.
So we have 6 stalkers. We'll go ahead and stop at 6 stalkers for the start of this game. For now. Get another pylon here. Keep making probes. Let's get blink upgrade.
You require. I am the
And let's keep making probes as a priority for sure. Probes are definitely the priority. And then we can chrono boost out our upgrade now because we'll make one final round of stalkers too. We'll go up to about like 10 stalkers. We're at 9, and 9's fine. 9's close enough. And now we're gonna chrono boost our blink. And once the third base is done, we'll add on a forge and we'll get ready to take a 4th base. And we're just gonna constantly produce out of our buildings as much as possible.
I am the voice of the.
Okay, so third base is just about done. Chrono boost our blink again. That way, if he attacks us, we're not gonna die. Actually, you know what? I'm thinking about it again. We should actually not be going zealots yet. Keep making stalkers. We're gonna make stalkers until our charge upgrade starts, and then we can start making zealots. Actually makes more sense. Excuse me, sorry. Whew. So now we're gonna take a 4th base. Third base is done, so now we take a 4th base. Let's make a pylon at it. Let's go back to our main base, and let's now add on a robo and a forge. Chrono boost our upgrade again. Let's start charge now because blink's about done. Keep getting probes, and now we can start making zealots. And now that we have blink stalkers, we can once again go attack. And we can like pressure our opponent and keep him defensive because there's so much shit we can do with this composition. Let's make a bunch more more pylons in my main base for building room, and let's make a bunch more gates. And we're about to start saturating a 4th base in a second here. Get a weapon upgrade on my forge, start upgrading that as well. Keep chrono boosting my charge. And now let's re-rally my nexus to my 4th base. Okay, we just killed the stalker and we blinked away. It's all good. Get a couple of observers now out of my robo. Keep making probes. Chrono boost my upgrades once again. And now let's take a probe and let's make a shitload of gates. Meanwhile, we can like pressure his 3rd or something. Just like poke something at his 3rd base. Okay, we can blink away and run away. Make some more zealots. Make some more gates again. Chrono boost my upgrades. Okay, so he's chasing us, so we could always blink away if we want to. We could also micro that and try to, you know, blink micro a little bit and kill some more shit. Okay. And now we want to make like 2 more gates and we're done. You can also make a prism with this build. And now we have 12 gates going right now. We have a lot of gateway action. Okay, how many probes we got? We got a good amount of probes now. So now let's take our bases and let's re-rally all of our nexus to their own mineral lines. Except for the main. I'll leave the main going to like my 4th base or something. It's fine. And the reason why are we doing this? Because now I'm gonna oversaturate all my bases, and I'm gonna oversaturate all my bases, and I'm gonna start switching into Skytoss now. And now that I'm making my first Stargate, let's get level 2 weapons on the ground, and let's start getting level 1 weapons on the Cyber Core for air, and keep making probes. We're not done yet. We can kill another stalker and like blink away. Again, this is where the stalkers are really annoying, right? You're just constantly pressuring your opponent. Okay, probe count, we're looking pretty good now. And zealot count, we're looking pretty good as well. We're about to max out, guys. This is like not even 9 minutes yet. We're about to max out.
Mineral cluster expended.
Okay, now let's take all of our gases. Gas. gas. And now main base is mining out, so let's take another Nexus. And let's also take a fleet beacon. Blink our stalkers away so we don't die.
Expended.
Fleet beacon, and then we can make more stargates. Make like 4 stargates in total. So look for another stargate in a second here. Saturate the gases. While we're saturating gases, we can take our army and move out. We can also take our prism and move it to a different location. And this is gonna, honestly, what I'm doing right now is gonna kill a lot of Protosses. I bet a lot of Protosses would die to this. Fix our saturations of other bases. Fix this base. And there we go. Now we have a bunch of bases that have a fuckload of money at them. One probably needs to go there. Now, look at this, right? We have a scary ass army. We can get Chrono Boost upgrades again. Okay, we can pull back, and now you can even be like this. Warp Prism Zealots right here, right? And just do a fuckload of damage in the main base. This build will kill so many players. Like, if we actually attack this, you can always, like, move in with your Zealots, and you can just blink Stalkers behind it. To, like, once the player starts running away. And Zealots are so tanky. And this is, again, you could also take your Prism and phase in right here, right? You can phase in a lot of Zealots right here. But this army is super scary. And in the meantime, behind this, what you're doing now is you're switching into mass carriers. And you can make another round of, you can make Zealots out of the Prism, or you can make Zealots out of your base, wherever you want. But it's all about now, at this point, it's about remaxing over and 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 over. Take another weapon upgrade, Chrono Booster upgrades. Get another carrier. Oh, we can't actually start a carrier right now because it's supply blocked. If you start realizing you have a lot of gas, you're more than welcome to go like, okay, let's go to like 6 Stargate for carrier. Because if you think you can maintain that, which is 250 gas per carrier per minute. So like if you have a lot of gas bank and you're like waiting to spend it, that's fine, basically, long story short. But like the army is always so scary for us. Like look at how good these Zealots perform. They're fucking insane. And it doesn't ever end because again, we could just do this right now, right? While the Protoss is taking a lot of damage right here in front of the base, we could do this right here. You can just be like, right? You can just warp in a fuckload of Zealots in the main base. All right, also, I'm going to talk to you right now real quick, Daniel. I'm not actually trolling you.
Yep.
You might see some of the shit I'm doing, but I'm actually explaining this on YouTube for you to watch later.
Oh, okay.
It's a strong ass build though. Because what I know.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I see the warp prism going in and out.
Yeah, like I'm talking about like things you could do with it, and I don't want you to think I'm like fucking around being like, ah. But like right now, it's crazy. I already have, but behind everything that's happening to you right now, right? All these Zealots are such a problem. Yeah. I already have 3 carriers done, and I have another 4 carriers on the way already, and then now I have another 6 carriers on the way. Like the carriers swap is so fast, and my carriers also already have level 2 weapons, and they're going on level 3 weapons starting right now. And my level 3 ground weapons is like just about done. So like for instance, if you push me right now, this Warp Prism once again could be a problem if it like goes in the main base and it's just like hello, like Zealots everywhere again, right?
Yeah.
Like so you can keep them defensive for so long. This build is fucking annoying. And then even if let's say the Prism dies, I could always make Zealots somewhere else and go down across the map, like you know, attack like your bottom base or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But for instance, I'm gonna attack into you, and I'm gonna let your Archons or whatever kill this army, and you just try, as the person opposing this, try to counter push me right now, and I won't actually attack you anymore, but just see how it feels now if you attack my base. This build is nuts.
Jeez. How many carriers?
Yeah, right now we already have 11 carrier. And then it's that moment where like once you actually have about like 15 carriers, you just like you, and also we're only about maybe like 40 seconds from +3 weapons on these carriers. So now if I attack you here, with my actual carrier army, now my carrier army is even bigger now. Now suddenly it's 15, right? And now they're also +3 weapons is literally seconds from being done, and I can start going into like not only carrier armor after that, but I can also go into like shield upgrades. So it makes my base stronger, or I can get armor upgrades if I wanted to make my Zeld stronger in case I wanted to use them again. Another cool thing I could do at this point in the game too is I could add in cannons, batteries at all my bases, just so like if our opponent counterattacks us, we have like a staging point to defend ourselves easier. So we can like overcharge a battery, or like his units get caught up on the cannon battery. But we could also make a Dark Shrine, and you can start defending yourself with Dark Templars and cannons. And like it's so easy, it's like minimal supply investment for maximum return.
That's not pretty cool.
But you're gonna win a lot of your games if you do the Zealot thing. Like there was a lot of times, and like there's a lot of points in the game where if you push yourself to macro together, and I know you said this is D3, and I understand it's gonna feel hard to do that sometimes. So maybe don't worry too much about being constantly aggressive, all over the place the entire time. But there's this build has tons of room to grow, and like right now, for instance, we have 16 carriers with 2 more on the way. They're not done yet though. But if we push, and these carriers have once you get to a point where you have this many carriers and you have level 3 weapon, I'm gonna attack your very middle base in like the middle of the map. I see your zealots running up, but if I attack like right here, for instance, like it's just you have, even if you have a 200 supply of like what you have here, the +3 weapon carrier is such a problem. It's very scary.
There's not much I can do.
Yeah, the Chargelot and Stalker definitely set the pace for the entire game for sure. And if you fall behind in that phase, yeah, this is like unstoppable at this point.
That is good.
So what I'm gonna do is just to make this easier for you, because again I have stream delay, so it's gonna be kind of awkward. Because I'm gonna do beta jam after this. What we can do, what we can do instead to remove stream delay is I can just share my screen with you on Discord. So if you go back to Discord, you just watch the stream there. You can not only see my perspective, but you can also see what I'm going to talk about now.
Okay.
And then if you don't know how to get to it, just let me know and I can help you.
I think I can see your screen.
Okay, so you see like me moving around right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, sick.
Yep.
All right, so basically, what we're gonna do with this build specifically, and just know there's 2 ways to do this. Okay, I'm gonna explain this really fast. So first things first, we're both doing our opener, which is the difference of our openers was you went for a 1-gate expand, which is something I teach a lot of players to do in general, and then really high level PvP, like we're talking like usually upper diamond to like Masters Plus. I think 2-gate openers are actually stronger. So I think that the build you did for this game, you could definitely still do it. What I just did in the game just now, you could still do my build I just showed you with your opener of 1-gate expand.
Oh, okay.
It could still work. So if you don't feel comfortable with the 2-gate opener yet, that's fine. But the reason why this build is the reason why I think a 2-gate opener is a little bit better at higher level play is because once you get confident with the Stalker situation, there's so much potential for you here. Like once you, because right now I'm making 2 Stalkers, right? You're making 1 Stalker queued up after another, and
that was a mistake. You're meant to be a sentry.
No, it's all good. No worries. It ends up being a sentry eventually. But the point I'm trying to make here is you can't stop this. Like the only way you deal with this, if I open 2 gates and you open 1 gate, the only way you can stop it from from doing a lot of damage to you is if you make a battery like immediately, right now. And if by the time my Stalkers get to your base, there's already a battery there. And if you're to do that, it's gonna make you stop making probes anyways. But also another scary thing to deal with is what if I was a Protoss player that opens up 2 gate, and I go for like Adepts as well. Like that's also scary because now if you're gonna super saturate your natural super fast, and you don't have really like you have like 1 Stalker and 1 Sentry that are gonna try and stop 2 Adepts, and if I am Masters Plus and I have the micro capability to focus fire your probes, like it's not gonna get you ahead, it's actually gonna get you behind. So 1-gate expands are actually really risky at higher level PvP when people start understanding how to abuse you.
Okay.
So again, that's what I'm saying. For now, when people don't really fully understand that to a high degree, you're still okay going 1 gate expands for now. But once you start realizing you run into players who play like this a lot more, you probably want to adopt this playstyle more yourself. And the way this works is all we do is we make pylon, gate, gas, and then right around the time when our gateway is almost done, we make a second gateway and then follow it up with a core, follow that up with a second gas and a second pylon. So we just basically do like 2 gate core with a second gas and a pylon, and then we expand. So our expansion's much later than yours, essentially. But again, look at the result of it, right? So yes, you're going to be ahead now in economy. Right when we get here, you have 3 more probes than us. That's going to be normal, right? Because you expanded first.
Yeah.
But you don't have a battery, and you have a stalker and a sentry fighting 2 stalkers. And if the Protoss player wanted to abuse you really hard with this, because you have no battery, he could kill your stalker by running away from your probes like this. And a sentry is like, he's got a bubble gun. He doesn't actually do damage. So the sentry
just tickles.
Yeah, exactly. And now look at what could happen here if these stalkers decided to stick around for a while. They could easily even out the difference of probes. And all these probes as well are being pulled off the middle line to make sure you don't die. So this is one of those things where if you open up 1 gate expand, you really need a battery versus people who open up double gate. The opener is really, really, really important for PvP. For higher level, it changes everything so hard. So again, just know once you start playing people who double gate you like this, like it becomes a normal thing. Like because this eventually will get to a point where everybody does this.
Okay.
Like it becomes the new standard because as soon as you can multitask it, like what we just did to you here with the green stalkers, once you can do that to a good degree versus people who go 1 gate expand, you always get the lead with 2 gate openers because 1 gate expand can't defend it properly. It's really hard.
Sure.
Another thing that's super scary. I'm not saying you're gonna run into this like right now, but again, something just to note really fast. When you're early game, because again, early game sets the pace so hard for PvP. Early game, I highly recommend that you do something, especially if you're gonna do 1 gate expands. I highly recommend that. I like the way you build your buildings. This is already correct because you can fit archons through here. That's really nice. And 1 pylon or one battery shield could wall that off. But I would say you need to leave a probe like right here on stop command. Just leave it there. Just for the opener of the game. Like, we're not talking about, like, what I mean by that is when your unit pops out of your base. So if your build was 1 gate Nexus core, regardless if you went Nexus core or if you went Gateway core, when your unit pops out of your base, out of your gateway, that's roughly going to be similar to when your opponent's unit pops out of their gateway. Because you guys are both going for a core and you're both making a unit out of the core tech. So
yeah, makes sense.
if your unit pops out of your core, let's say your opponent went 2 gates and you went for 1 gate Nexus, and you've just now made your first stalker, and your stalker is right there as it pops out of the gateway and it starts running down the ramp. The second it pops out of your base, you need to grab a probe, probably one of the probes that's extra that's going to the natural now, and have it literally sit right there. And the reason why is because if I open 2 gates and I make 2 adepts, if you don't wall this off with a shield battery, and when 2 adept shades are like coming over here trying to get into your base, if they're like, as they're here, and like let's say your stalker's standing right there, and you see 2 adept shades coming right here, and they're trying to go past you to go on your main base and kill your probes. You need to grab your probe when you see the adept shades coming towards your base and build a shield battery right there to wall it off so adepts can't get in your base. And they instead get stuck on the outside right here on the ramp and they can't go through because it's a full wall for a little bit. You can always cancel the shield battery later to not make a full wall, but for now, you need to stop him from getting in your base because if they actually get into like right there and they start walking your probe line and killing your probes, you're dead. Like you're going to lose the game because of that at a higher level. It's never going to work out for you after that because those 2 adepts could possibly kill like 8 probes now. And that's a humongous difference if we both have like around 30 probes and suddenly now you only have 22 and I have like 29 or 30. That's going to be hard to come back from that. You're probably going to die. So that's really it for the opener. That's super important for the opener. I know it sounds like a lot, and I don't think you're going to deal with it really that much yet, but as you grow as a player, you'll deal with it more and more and more.
Best to start getting used to it now.
Yeah, I think once you're like once you get to the point where you're like high diamond or like low masters, you probably should just be doing 2 gate openers every game. And the final reason why is because you actually have a much higher chance to not die if you're constantly making units out of double gate. If your opponent did something like, instead of me going for a Nexus, like, let's see, did you scout the Nexus? So, for instance, like right here, you saw I went double gate, but you didn't actually confirm that I had a Nexus. And this is going to happen in your games as well in the future, where if someone has a build that looks like this, what if they took, instead of taking a Nexus, they took a third gateway, like right here, and a Robo, and like a Pylon, Robo, third gateway. And they start doing triple warp-ins of units with a warp gate, and they make chrono boosted immortals. And they just walk over here to kill you. If you don't have double gateway pumping units constantly, you're probably just going to die. There's like no chance you live there. So this kind of an opener is just safer all round for like not dying to all the cheeses that your opponents can throw at you. It just gets you out of the early game more often, more realistically, versus higher level Protosses. Okay. Anyways, aside from that, we'll kind of move on from the opener now. The opener is really, really, really important, but now let's actually talk about the build more.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I did also talk about it a bit while I just did it versus you, but you didn't get to hear it, so I want to talk to you specifically now. And then you can always go back and watch this VOD again, because one thing I'll say before I go with this, just know, if you ever hear anything I say and you go, wait, what did he say? Or like, I'm confused now, or like let's say you forget what I said 5 minutes ago and you're like, okay, he's telling me a lot at once right now, and there's no way I can remember all this. It's all good, because I'm gonna post this to YouTube, and I'll link you the video as well. So you can always watch it literally as many times as you want. So don't worry about things you didn't get to hear the first time, because you can watch it literally repeatedly if you want to.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. And I'll link it to you by probably like tomorrow. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're going into our natural. We have our setup going on here. We have our... now that our natural's done and it's like halfway saturated, we're going to add on our third gateway, and we're going to also now add on our Twilight Council.
Yep.
Also, I want to answer a question really fast too, to what someone said, because it's relevant to what I just talked about for just a second. Someone says 2-gate seems very common in Platinum though. And my answer to you would be, I actually would prefer you to do 1-gate expands in Platinum League or low Diamond. The reason why is because players as you go down in lower divisions of MMR, players don't know how to properly micro stalkers and abuse stalkers, and they also don't know how to properly multitask. Like, they struggle harder there. So even if I saw an opponent going for a 2-gate in, like, let's say Platinum League, and I was going for 1-gate expand, I would be 100% happy to do that and just make a battery, because I already don't think they're gonna micro properly, and they're gonna for instance run into a shield battery and go, oh, let's respect that, and just completely leave now. I don't want to try and deal with that. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it in lower leagues, because there's a big difference between how a Masters player will abuse you to how a Platinum player will try to abuse you. Anyways, so we take our third gate and our council around the same time. This way we're going to be going into 3-gate production out of our gateways while getting blink. And before this, we were doing nothing but chrono boosting our probes. Okay, so we threw like 4 chrono boosts into our Nexus, or 5 or something like that. But the second your council finishes with this build, stop chrono boosting probes and only chrono boost your blink upgrade on your council. It's very important. This allows you to actually be aggressive. You know how I was walking around your base a lot? The sky's the limit on that as well. Like, if you're really good at being aggressive, you can do so much more. You could do, like, there's a lot of things you could do with these stalkers and attack constantly. Like, for instance, like, let's say your opponent doesn't have blink and you engage, right? Let's say you send in 13 stalkers or something and you attack one of your opponent's stalkers, and you blink back the first stalker that gets shot by your opponent, and you save it so it loses all of its shields, and you blink it back before it dies. And all the rest of your stalkers shoot once, and then you blink all of those back after they shoot, and you don't lose a single stalker, but yet you kill one of your opponent's stalkers. And all it cost you was a 7-second cooldown of a blink. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And suddenly you're like, 2 minutes later, you've killed like 12 units of your opponent's army, and you've lost barely anything of yours because your shields regenerate over and over and over. Like, there's so much shit you can do with this. Or let's say your opponent's army is like located right here, for instance. And let's say you see that as you like run away, and you run away like this. Let's say his army's here, and you run away like this, and you go around, and as you arrive to his natural, let's say you see his army at the bottom of the ramp, and you go, oh, sick. Okay, well, I'll just run into your main now. And you literally run into the main, and like as you get to the ramp and you can see vision into his main, you blink down and you start killing like 8 probes or something, or like 10 probes. And by the time you get like 2 or 3 volleys off of your auto attack, his army's starting to come up the ramp, and you literally run over here to the left, and you blink down to the low ground, and now his army's here, and now you start killing probes in the third base because you blinked from here to there. Like, there's so much shit you can do with Blink Stalkers that's annoying for your opponent to deal with. Same thing here. Like, what if the army was out of position and you didn't feel that ballsy, but you're like, all right, I'm gonna run my stalkers from here to there, so barely move at all. Whereas his army's gonna go from here to here, barely move at all. But all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk from here to here because my opponent's out of position. I'll kill like 2 or 3 probes on the side of the middle line, and then I'll blink back to up here and run away. And you just keep pressuring your opponent. You just keep shaving off little bit after little bit of your opponent's supply. Meanwhile, you're just making more shit back at home. So this build's all about, at the early game, it's all about how well can you macro while constantly being annoying with stalkers. And that the more annoying you are with stalkers while maintaining the build correctly is really how this build becomes crazy good. The better you are at microing stalkers, the stronger the build will feel against your opponent. So we chrono boost our stalkers now. Our chrono boosted upgrade of Blink. We're gonna non-stop chrono boost this, and this is the only thing we're gonna chrono boost now for a long time, because we just depleted our Nexus before this building was done on probes, and now when our natural had about like 12 probes, so like right after we built the council and the third gateway, we started our Nexus. Okay. So our first expand went down after we made our first. So okay, let me walk you through the build order really fast, just because we've been talking about concepts. Now let's do build order really quickly. So we'll go through it quickly. And the way the build goes is you set up, like I said before, you set up 2 gateways and a core with a second gas and a pylon. Yeah. So we have 2 pylons, 2 gates, a core, 2 gases, and no nexus yet. Now the next thing we're going to build after the second pylon finishes is we're going to keep making probes the whole time, like as much as possible. So we're going to go beyond the full saturation of the main base. And then we're going to also make just 2 stalkers. 1 stalker out of each gateway. These stalkers are going to be what goes across the map and attacks. Behind that, we're going to make our nexus. So after we make 2 stalkers, we're going to make our nexus. That's our first expand. So we make 2 stalkers, then now we save for a nexus. And we make a pylon so we don't supply block because we're super close to blocking. And then once the pylon's done, we can go back to making stalkers. And we're still making probes the whole time. We're not stopping probe production. And now once the nexus is done at the natural, we're going to have roughly about half of a saturated mineral line. This is now going to kick our income up quite a bit. So now we can afford to add on a 3rd gateway and a council first, while trying to maintain stalker production. So you can see now I've already made 6 stalkers. So I already have 5 and a 6th one's about to spawn. So I've made up to 6 stalkers before making these 2 buildings. And then also our nexus. And then now that my nexus is a little bit more than halfway, it's like we're talking double digits. It's like 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. I have a probe that ripped off. So we had 12, and I ripped off a probe to go take my 3rd base. And I didn't actually rip it off by saying build nexus right there, and then click down here. So my probe starts trying to build a nexus from there. So that what that does, if you do that, is you tie up 400 minerals that can't be used until the probe walks all the way from there down to there. You don't want to do that, right? You want to be building shit in the process. So we grab a probe and go, all right, I'm at a good saturation. My money's going to go up fast. I'm around 12. Let's grab a probe off, send it down. And as it arrives, I'll then tell it, build the nexus immediately, and it will actually build the nexus. So around 12 probes here, we ripped off and sent down the probe. We built a nexus and a pylon, and we're gonna keep making probes. And then with our excess money, we're gonna keep making stalkers, and we're always chrono boosting the blink. Always chrono boosting blink.
Blink. Okay.
And then we're still on 3 gates. We are still on 3 gates. And once our 3rd base finished, and our 3rd base, once it finishes, it's going to ideally have about half saturation already on it, just like it did. And we're going to rip off another probe right as this nexus is about to finish. Like, within 5 seconds of this nexus finishing, we're going to want to build another nexus. So, like, right as it's done, we have another one started. Because it's going to fill up so fast with triple nexus. It's all because it's, like, the mineral-only build, right? It's because we're not actually taking our gases. Yeah. So it's like, holy shit, probes are saturating super quick. And now that we have our 4th base started, the next thing we're going to build is our robo and our forge. And now this is going to give us observers, and this is going to give us upgrades. Now, here's the one deviation about this build, okay? There is one deviation about this build you can do, and here it is. If you think your opponent is going to do something weird and cheeky and all in, you know how when we build our 2 gates first, and then we eventually build our 3rd gate with our council? If you feel like you're going to get all in by something, and you feel scared, you're like, okay, I don't know if it's DTs, I don't know if it's a mortal all in, 1 base or some shit, I don't know what it is. If you feel scared and you don't think it's a Stargate, so if it is a Stargate, it's actually better to go for a 3-gate council because you have more stalkers with blink to deal with like void rays. But if you think it's going to be like DTs, or if you think it's going to be like proxy immortals, instead of making the 3rd gate in the council, you could make a robo in the council. And then when you would have taken your robo way later in the game, that's when you could take your 3rd gate. So you can swap out. Yeah. You can swap out the 3rd gate and the robo if you think you need to robo faster. This would,
oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that way you would have observers in time for like DTs. If it looked like your how can you tell this? Like, how can you make this decision like logically? If your opponent doesn't have a natural, just do it then. Like, yeah, it's like your council will always be at the same time, but if your opponent just never takes a natural, if you're like, okay, well my natural's like fully saturated, and I'm like, or like it's like it's like half, because again we build it when it's halfway saturated. My natural's done and it's halfway saturated, and my opponent still has not expanded. Just take a robo and a council then. And then you can go into an observer and then start making immortals if you need to, with shield battery stalker. Because that way, if it was DTs, like 1 base DT, you would have observers just before DTs would kill you. And then yeah, nice. from this point on, and then that keeps you safe from all the early game crap you can deal with if you execute ideally, like properly. And then from now on, all we're doing is, like we said before, I'm going to keep making probes on 4 Nexus now. And I'm not going to stop making probes as soon as I fill up all my mineral lines. So I'm going to focus on this one first, and then I'm going to focus on this one next. And it's going to fill up super fast, right? Because I'm going to be having 4 probes at a time making probes here. So it's going to be like 4 rounds of probe production, and suddenly it's fully saturated. Because you got 4 Nexus doing it by the time we start using it. But once our bases are fully saturated, what we do is you can just take just let your main Nexus continue to rally to your 4th or some shit. It's not a big deal. But just go to each one of your Nexus and go like this. Click your natural, rally to the natural. Click your 3rd, rally to the 3rd. Click your 4th, rally to the 4th. This way, what it does for you is it gives you oversaturation on every base. And what your focus should be at that point in the game is you're still running around the map with stalkers. You're trying to be annoying. You're being annoying. You're being annoying. You're being annoying. You're trying to kill shit wherever you can and try not to take fights when it's going to lose you a bunch of stalkers. Like, you're trying not to take big fights. You're just trying to, like, stab your opponent in the back and then run away. Over and over and over and over and over and over. Because you're just trying to slow him down. That's all you're trying to do. You do not want to take a big fight until you have charge lots. And you have mobility as well, because you'll have blink by the time you get really aggressive. Because you're chrono boosting the crap out of it. So you're not going to have to worry about it, really. Now, once your blink is done, the whole time we've been getting to the point to where we have blink, all we've been making is stalkers out of these gateways. So no zealots have been made yet. But now that blink is just about done, and now we're starting charge, now we can start making zealots. Because now we can actually move out with this army. And also, if these were stalkers as well, that would have been totally fine. Because it would just make your move out a little bit stronger. You'd have, instead of 13 stalkers, or rather, sorry, instead of 12 stalkers, you could have like 14 or maybe 15 if you make 3 of units here. We made 3 units. So this could have been 15 stalkers. And that would have been just fine. Not a big deal. But, again, like the goal is as long as your charge is started, that's when you can start making zealots. Like right as blink's done, right as charge starts. And you're going to keep chrono boosting this the whole time. And now that we also have charge started, and we've started our forge, now our chrono boost is going to double up on not only weapon upgrades for the forge, but also continuing charge upgrades for the council. So again, we're not chrono boosting your probes. No probe chrono boost at all. Because we're already making probes fast enough as it is anyways, because all we're doing is mineral lines only. And this allows us to be aggressive as well. And then now, what we're going to do at this point, once our 4th base is started, once we have the robo and the forge, we're taking a couple extra pylons around our base so that we can actually have more room to build. And now we're going to start adding in a bunch of gates. This is meanwhile we're attacking our opponent's base. And this is we're gonna make gates all the way up until 12 gateways. So we're looking to add on 9 more gates right now.
Okay.
And we're still doing this without making our gases yet. No gases have been made yet beyond the first 2 gases. And then our stalkers are just kind of running around and pressuring, being super annoying. As you can see, like if the army stands here, look at this opening, right? What if I went forward here and just picked off a stalker, and then maybe even picked off the immortal? What if I picked off these 2 units and then blinked into the main base, and then picked off some probes? What if I picked off like these pylons? There's so many things you can do with your stalkers that's so annoying, and the better you get with this build, the scarier it is for your opponent. So like right here, I think we do it actually. We actually just kill your stalker and run away. So like right here, our stalkers are kind of chilling. Meanwhile, behind this, we're making all of our gates. So we made now we have a total of 12 gateways, and now we're starting to make mass zealots. So again, we don't want to actually attack until we have a large amount of zealots. And look at our probes. We're oversaturated. We're oversaturated. We're oversaturated. And all of our nexus res rally to the middle line, so they're oversaturating at an equal pace, pretty much. Now our stalkers can go forward in a second here, and as you can see, like we just kill a stalker and blink away. We lost nothing. We killed your stalker. Like you can shave your opponent down like this all the time, and you just regenerate shields as you leave. And then finally, we could bring our army over once we have like look at the army, how fast it grows, right? The army is fucking blowing up really fast, and we're already at 170 supply plus. Just after 8 minutes. And these zealots are such a problem for anything your opponent has. There's only 2 units your opponent can have that'll make zealots not nearly as scary. The first thing is an Archon. The second thing is a Colossus. But even those can die if there's too many zealots. Like if they get surrounded and shit, zealots are still gonna win. But if there's a lot of Archon and if there's a lot of Colossus, those are the only things that can really have a chance here. And a lot of players that you're going to play against are not going to have that. They're just going to be like, holy fuck, that's a lot of zealots. And if your opponent's going mass stalkers like this, zealots are going to be a serious problem for them. And then now finally behind this, what we do is you can see my mineral lines are all really high saturated. The correct number we're trying to go for is about 22. And the reason why 22 is ideal is because 22 minus 6 is 16, and 6 is what you need for the gases. So 22 is perfect. Yeah. And then we started our gases around 20 plus. So like we actually started our gases this time at 21 on each base, and this one happened to have 24 because our main is still rallied here, which is fine. And now our probe count overall is 80 plus. Our probes are looking super good. And so now that we're taking our gases, we started a Stargate. We only start 1 Stargate because again, we don't have a ton of gas yet because we've only been mining off of 2 gases the entire time, and we've also been doing upgrades the whole time. But when we start the Stargate, we start the Cyber Core. So think about it like this too. We were chrono boosting just our council for Blink. And then when Blink's done, by then we usually added on our Forge. So now we're double chrono boosting charge and weapon upgrades out of the Forge.
Right, yeah.
Then the council will finish because it's done with Blink and it's done with charge. So those are one-time only upgrades. But we're not done chrono boosting for double buildings because by the time our charge is done, our saturation should look like this. And this is when we should start all of our gases. And when we start all of our gases, now we actually have the gas we need to switch to Skytoss. So now we can add in our Stargate. And we can also now add in our upgrades for our upgrade for air weapon.
Yeah.
And we can now start double chrono boosting our upgrades for that. So you're always chrono boosting upgrades the entire time. So you only chrono boost probes until your council's done. And the second you start Blink, you only chrono boost upgrades the entire game after that. That's it. And then once your upgrades are done, like if you're actually at a point where you're like, okay, I'm done with the Forge upgrades, I'm done with the core upgrade or the Cybernetics core upgrades, I have a lot of excess energy on my Nexus still, then you can just start chrono boosting your Stargates themselves for faster carriers. But it really is just upgrades for the rest of the game. Trying to maintain fast upgrade timings so that you can have, for instance, like when I was like attacking you and I was like, my carriers are already level 3 weapons. Why was that? It's because I was doing so much chrono boost on my core. Same thing with the Forge. That makes my Zealots and Stalkers more deadly. And then now as well, so I start my Stargate when I start on my gases. I wait until the Stargate's done, and then I add on a Fleet Beacon and like 3 or 4 more Stargates to go to a total of like 4 or 5 Stargates. Either is fine. Either of those numbers is fine. I would say for you, probably just go to 5 Stargates. Make it easy for yourself. Just remember, easy 5. So you make 1, and then when 1's done and it allows you to make a Fleet Beacon, then you make a Fleet Beacon plus 4 more Stargates to go to a total of 5 Stargates. And the reason why you do it like that is because if you look at a probe's build time of a Stargate, it's 43 seconds. And you look at the build time of a fleet beacon, it's also 43 seconds. And you can't actually make the unit you're trying to make until you have a fleet beacon anyways. So if you make the fleet beacon and the Stargate at the same time, once you can actually make the fleet beacon, all the other Stargates will actually be able to actually make units out of that when the fleet beacon's done. Because again, you can't make this first Stargate's just for this purpose of being able to make the fleet beacon. And it allows you to keep making as many zealots as possible in the meantime with your money. And then once your main base starts mining out, immediately want to take a 5th base so that you don't just have an undersaturated mineral line the entire time. Same thing goes for your natural. Once this base starts mining out, you're going to want to take another base. Once your 3rd base starts mining out, you're going to want to take another base. Just keep expanding as you start mining bases out beyond your first 4 bases. And then after that, literally all it is, the last part of it is we can make the warp prism like we showed you with this build. As we do our move out here, we have a warp prism there as well. And this warp prism could just constantly do shit as well, where we attack the front of the guy's base with our main army like this, and the warp prism can go behind somewhere else as our main army goes forward. And you can see right now we're at a really scary amount of supply. We're at maxed out versus, this is pretty normal for Protoss to look like this, by the way, what you're at. This is very normal for other Protoss to look like this, and it's because you're doing an army that's more expensive. Our army is super cheap. And the funny thing is, even though a Zealot is cheaper than a Stalker, a Zealot's better than a Stalker. When it's Zealot versus Stalker, that is. Stalkers have their own reason why they're better in certain ways, but when it comes to just straight up Zealot versus Stalker, Zealots are better. Because they're cheaper, they scale better than Stalkers do, and they also are going to overwhelm Stalkers, so Stalkers are just going to lose in so many ways. And then we can also, like we said, we could warp prism here at this base, we could warp prism the main base. There's so many options with the prism to be annoying. But you can see right here, this kind of a fight right now. Also, look at the upgrades too, right? We have an up. Where's the upgrades for you? You're about to be 1-1, which is nice. We're almost to level 2 weapons already, so the upgrades are just cruising for us, and we're already almost at level 1 air weapons before we even have the fleet beacon done. And you can just see this swarm of green Protoss.
Zealots, so many of them.
Yeah, it's that this is death right here. These things, they see what I mean? They just don't give a shit. I honestly think if these Zealots would have went forward, the game could have ended here. Just because the Zealots beat the shit out of Stalkers. It's crazy. Yeah. And then, like we said before, at this point in the game, this is when now you're going to want to make carrier. Every time you lose supply, the goal now, here's the goal.
With arrows.
Yeah, exactly. The goal is you do a 2-step priority. First step priority is when you lose, you don't want to try and lose your whole army. So if you think you're going to lose a fight, maybe take a little bit of a fight and then back off, because this army is all about mobility. So try to keep your opponent on his side of the map as long as possible. Whereas, let's just say, for instance, okay, let's say you took a fight and you lost 50 supply. And let's say you had 5 Stargates that could make a carrier each, which is a total of 30 supply. Because each carrier is 6 and it's 5 of them. So it's 30 in total. And then now, if you just lost 50 and you remade 30 into carrier, it means you have 20 supply left that could be made in Zealots. So what if this army was running away after it just lost 50 supply, and it's running up here, dragging your opponent away from his base, still on his side of the map, and then your warp prism flies into his main base, and you warp in 10 Zealots, which is 20 supply of Zealots. And then now he's like, ah, shit, now I gotta go home and defend that. And it buys you time again. And then by the time your opponent deals with the Zealots in his main base, and let's say this army on the top is now re-engaging somewhere else, maybe over here, you lose another 40 supply again, and you refill again with another set of carriers, and then you can once again fly the warp prism back in his base.
Bitcoin from rally.io.
Again, you can just keep attacking, right? You want to keep him defensive.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is know that you're losing a fight and just lose everything all at once, and be like, well, now he's going to counterattack me and kill me when I'm trying to make carriers, but they're not out yet. That's the one thing you don't want to happen. So you want to try to make sure that when you take fights, it's fights you're going to literally crush. Or if you're losing the fight, just start running away, because this army is really fast.
Carriers take a fair while to build.
Yeah, what you got to realize, once you start making carrier, you look at the game clock and you need to tell yourself, okay, I'm not really going to try to kill this guy until about 3 minutes from now. And the reason why that is because you want probably a good solid 3 rounds of carriers and each carrier round is about a minute. And if you have 5 Stargates, you don't want to actually attack your opponent until you have about 15 carriers. This is what I was talking about with the hybrid army thing. You do not want to attack with like 7 carriers or like 4 carriers. The lower the number of carriers is, the weaker your army overall is. Because carriers by themselves are pretty garbage. They're really good in high number though. And that's the whole build. And then behind that, it's just at this point too, like once you have good control of the game, you can make a Dark Shrine, and you can make like 2 cannons and a battery at every base. That way, if your opponent attacks you with like DTs or Chargelot run-bys with like a prism, you can like stage a defense where you can have an overcharged battery healing a cannon, and you can warp in DTs around it. And suddenly like 5 DTs and a cannon with being healed by a battery just wipe out endless waves of zealots. And also you can even kill his own DTs really fast too. Because if your DTs can't be spotted because he doesn't have detection here, most people don't bring an observer with their warp prism timings. Like your DTs are just going to town, especially if they have level 3 weapons.
Good question. How many observers are you making?
I only made 2 with this. I just made 2. Okay. You can make more if you feel like you need to, but the thing is you don't like, if you weren't using stalkers to be mobile, I would say you probably want to have more so you could spot the map more. You could like see where your opponent is on the map more. But because this build is all about your stalkers in the early game, going left and right a lot, like you're all about constantly trying to like be annoying with your stalkers and keep him defensive, you're still scouting him at the same time. So having observers for scouting and that purpose is not really necessary because your stalkers are doing it anyways. It's really just for the detection only. And yeah, that's pretty much it, dude.
That's awesome.
I'm telling you right now, if you do this build properly, you're gonna win most of your games with just Zealot Stalker. You're gonna be like, wow, my opponent's dead again, and my opponent's dead again. Okay, well, I'm not even able to go carriers anymore. Carriers don't even seem like I need to be making them because the guy always dies. But the carriers is like, it's like a failsafe, right? Where like if your opponent doesn't actually die to Chargelot Stalker, suddenly you're like, holy shit, or he's like, oh my god, there's fucking like 15 carriers now and I can't stop that. Just know too, this is important, very important. This build, this is actually a big concept. When you build your stalkers and you like all the way till your blink is done. So you build stalkers from the beginning of the game all the way until you finish blink. Once you finish blink, you never make another stalker again the entire game. So
okay, just zealots out of the
yeah, don't get like the big thing is don't get caught in a trap where you take a fight and you throw away all your stalkers and you go, okay, looks like we need to make more stalkers.
Invibe your coin from rally.io.
Georgius, thank you very much for the coins. Much love, dude. Because if you get into a phase of the game where you're always rebuilding stalkers, it's going to severely delay not only your charge lots, which you don't want to be delayed, and it's also going to severely delay your everything, right? Because it's only a double gas. Your upgrades are going to be delayed. Your carriers are going to be delayed. All this shit's going to be delayed because you're blowing your economy way too hard on stalkers. Because again, not only is it more gas, the zealots cost no gas, but they even cost more minerals than zealots, so it's going to delay everything. So 12, 13, 14, 15 stalkers, somewhere around there, and you're done all game. That's it. They always just follow zealots, or they always do a non-committal fight where you just like poke and run away.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You have any questions about the build? Daniel, are you still?
No,
there?
it's.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were still there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You're all good. I was wondering if you had any questions.
No questions. Looks really good. Can't wait to give it a crack.
Okay. And one thing I would recommend you do is definitely go back into the replays if you're still in StarCraft and make sure you save it to your just like, so it's not just titled like Lightshade 47 or something like that. Actually put like a replay title on it so you can go back and use it as reference if you want to watch it in the game of StarCraft 2. And then you can also obviously use the YouTube video that I'll send you the link to by probably like tomorrow.
Sounds good. I'll definitely do that.
All right,
Thanks so much.
Yeah, dude. I hope this definitely let me know, like maybe like a few days from now or like a week from now, how this is going for you. And I hope you have fun with it. And dude, thank you very much thank you and Aaron for doing this. And I wish you a happy birthday once again. Have a great rest of your day, dude.
Thanks so much. This has been awesome. Have a good day.
All right, take it easy, man.
All right, see you later. Bye bye.
See ya. All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with Daniel. Much love. Thank you for doing it. Hell yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been what I like to call the ultimate dickhead build for Protoss. Like, this build actually is insane, guys. I'm being dead serious. This build is insane. Mass Chargelot Stalker is so strong in PvP. This is also, just disclaimer alert, this is a Protoss versus Protoss build. This build would not scale nearly as well against Terran or Zerg. It would probably it would be the best against Protoss. It'd be okay against Terran, and it would be pretty terrible against Zerg. And the reason why it would be terrible against Zerg is because if Zerg went speedlings early, they would completely break the build because your Stalkers would just die. If your Stalkers are in the middle of nowhere, even if they have Blink and you're not making a lot of them, and your Zerg suddenly makes, your Zerg opponent suddenly makes a bunch of Zerglings, you just die. Also, if they make mutas, you die. So it would not work at all against Zerg. And against Terran, it would work if they didn't go, like, heavy Widow Mines. Or no, sorry, you go Zealots later. Against Terran, it would work if they didn't go for, like, a Siege Tank timing. Or, like, some type of aggressive Stim Pack timing. And they just played defensive. If they did, like, defensive greed, it would then also work against Terran. But if the Terran plays aggressive, it'll probably lose. Unless you're really active and good with how you use your Stalkers. It's okay against Terran. I don't know. It has a chance. Like, I'm thinking about it. It really does have a chance against Terran. It's okay against Terran. It's amazing against Protoss. But definitely not a versus Zerg build. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you guys in the next, whatever it is, coaching lesson, replay analysis, or bronze regime video, whatever you watch for StarCraft. I'll see you guys then. Take it easy. Much love. And yeah, good luck, guys. Have fun.